It is inspirational. It's a nice reminder, Traci, that these plans work out. These things do come true. You've got to make some, have some hard conversations, which you laid out for us. The first one, I'm sure there are a couple of them. There were many more probably. You've got to be able to be willing to make like big, bold, committed decisions, which it sounds like he did a couple of times. Yeah, super, super great stuff. I agree.
One of the biggest things that we all understand and we hear over and over and over again is that proximity is power, right? And so as a result of that, the more proximity that you get with wealthy people, people that are playing at a higher level than you are, the better your life is going to be. And again, we're here talking about money. I understand that not everything is money, but I can also tell you that when you have money, everything else becomes a lot easier to fix. Okay. So, but when we go back and we really dissect Pete's speech, he went to the event, but the thing that changed his life was not something that was said from the stage. It was something that was said during small talk. And we can watch these videos and we can watch videos of EXPCon and we can watch videos of great speakers, but where your life changes is in those unplanned conversations. And I can tell you every major breakthrough that I've ever had in my entire life, a big chunk of it was something that one of my colleagues, somebody that I was sitting beside, said to me, not necessarily something that was said from the stage. So that's one of the biggest things that I want to make sure that you really take a deep dive on. There's nothing more important than getting into the right rooms. And Curtis, you said that you had a little story to tack on there, correct?
I do, Traci. And so I'm going to give everybody a couple of options here. So first off, if you fit what Traci just described, like you're in Florida or you have ease of access to getting to Florida, like you have special privileges to travel by air, you've got maybe a couple $1,000s in your pocket that you could scrape together. It's absolutely a life-changing opportunity to get there next week. If you can't, then I'm going to take what Pete did and I'm going to encourage you to build your next 1 year of business and income and finance goals around getting to next year's EXPCon. So you reverse engineer it. So you say, okay, in October 2025, I'm going to need to be there. I want to be in those rooms. I want to talk to that person, and I want to have my life completely changed by this big decision. So then you reverse engineer it. What do I need to do to be ready to buy my ticket 2 or 3 months, 4 months in advance? What do I need to do to be able to book my hotel room as soon as the schedule's announced? So you just, again, those of you who took away from Pete that like that planning is so important, it really is. And you can reverse engineer things, especially when you have a clear picture of what EXPCon is. You just saw that video, right? It's a completely life-changing opportunity. So wanted to share that. That's how you reverse engineer and take action on what Pete shared today. And then for me, I had a similar experience, Traci, probably, goodness, 5, 6, 7 years ago now. I don't know how long ago it was, but I remember not going to a lot of big live events. It just wasn't a thing I did. I'm borderline introvert extrovert. I don't actually get a ton out of being around a ton of people all the time. But it was an event, Traci, I don't even know if you know this, that you were hosting. And you were connected to a friend of mine, Pat Hayes, who's part of your fantastic organization. And Pat said, hey, Curtis, we're going out to this thing in Houston, Texas, which was like a 4-hour drive for me, 3.5. It wasn't that far. But at that time, I was running a busy real estate team. We had like 14 agents. We had, probably 20, 30, contracts in play. And it felt really hard and crazy to like pick up and leave for a few days and just go somewhere, especially because that wasn't in my routine. And for really the first time in probably my real estate career, I decided I'll do it. I hadn't been to any of EXP's stuff. I hadn't been to anything. I just decided I'm going to this event. And I can't tell you all how many times I cried, how many people cared about my, at the time, fostered daughters who we were adopting, how many people cared about me. It broke my business wide open. It broke me personally wide open. I got to hear things that I'd never heard before, both from the stage and, as Traci said, in those really unexpected moments. And, I remember calling my wife not once, but twice, telling her like the breakthroughs I just had, the crying session I just had with a person. It just like, you can't imagine what being at events completely does for you. So here is my challenge to everybody, Traci, is if you're serious about building a luxury business, you're still serious about mastering your real estate business, even if you can't get to an event that's outside your city, there's stuff happening all around you all the time. Like there are magical events happening at your local chamber of commerce. There are things happening in your coffee shop group of 6 or 8 people at a meetup. Like this stuff doesn't only for you all have to be a trip to Miami or to Las Vegas or, you know, a $3,000 conference or anything. While those rooms and the proximity Traci talked about are extremely powerful, if you start to get yourself in the habit of just making these choices and getting to these places, you'll absolutely, you know, change who you're around and what you're experiencing, what you're hearing every day. That was the thing I took away from the videos and from the events. The last piece, Traci, you had one secret, which is getting to events. I decided in preparation for today, I was going to snoop Pete Middleton a little bit. I didn't know Pete, I actually didn't know that story. And the internet makes it so easy for us to snoop, right? You watch their Instagram, you go to their YouTube. And so I started trying to learn like what's Pete's secret for luxury for you all, because I personally haven't really sold luxury. It wasn't something I aspired to do. I haven't broken into that market. So I don't know luxury secrets, but here's one that Pete gave. And then EXPCon's video just sort of like demonstrated it loud and clear. Pete's secret that he listed on his a random Instagram post, I really snooped him, was that in luxury, you are selling a lifestyle. And, you know, I see a couple people nodding their heads, and I've had the, you know, privilege of standing in Traci's, you know, high floor condo looking out at the ocean. My daughters still say, Traci, Daddy, can we go back to our friend's house? Because it's a lifestyle, right? That feels like second to none. It's this dream come true. So when you watch that EXPCon video, what were they selling? They were selling the water and the palm trees and the boat rides and the events of getting together and the glamour of the stage, right? So that was what I took away from just studying Pete, is if you're seriously committed to breaking into real estate, then you're gonna have to start to understand and listen deeply around what that lifestyle is. And like Lily probably wouldn't have known to ask the question of what that guy cared about. But what he cared about was his house being held open every weekend. You just didn't know it. You probably didn't get to ask that question, which Pete gives you on his top 10 list of things to do. Ask more questions, listen more intently. He also gave away, Traci, I think 3 paradigm shifts. I wrote them in the chat box in Zoom, but I'm going to feed them here because I think these are things that you should like write down on your whiteboard and absolutely take away from today's Pete time. Number 1, it only takes 1 luxury listing to break into luxury. If you believed that, you would be pursuing it with like all your might, because you're 1 listing away from being a luxury real estate business owner, right? Like that's a huge mindset shift. Number 2, this one I think is still valuable. I know it would still work in my market, and I know there's a couple people on here that know this is important. Look to new construction. New construction as a way to break into the luxury market is, to me, a tremendously, I don't want to say easy, but it's a practical navigation, meaning it's not going to be confusing, complex. You're going to walk into a builder, you're going to find out their high price listings, you're going to ask if you can market them and put them all over your social media, and you're going to attract at least a buyer that's looking for these luxury homes. And guess what? They're probably a homeowner that has a luxury home to sell, right? So look to new construction. And then the last one, I thought this was something that everyone should be thinking about, Traci, no matter what level of business they're currently at or pursuing. Deliver personalized and customized experiences. It's all about the service.